The sun was just rising over the dusty streets of Karachi, painting the narrow lanes in shades of gold and gray. In a forgotten corner of the city, amid the sound of rickshaws, vendors, and barking dogs, a young boy named Arham sat with an old, battered guitar that had only 3 strings left. The body of the guitar was cracked, the wood faded, but for him, it was everything. Arham was only 12 years old, but life had already tested him harder than most men twice his age. His father had died 2 years ago in a construction accident. His mother worked long hours washing dishes at roadside stalls, barely earning enough for a single meal a day. Arham, instead of going to school like the other kids, would sing on the streets near Clifton Beach, hoping people would drop a few coins into his small tin can. He loved singing. His father used to hum Eagle Signs while working, especially Hotel California. That was their favorite. Arham didn't know English well, but he learned every word of that song by heart. To him, the lyrics were more than just words, they were his father's voice echoing in his memory. Every evening, when the city lights began to flicker, Arham would sit near a cafe where tourists came for coffee and live music. He wasn't allowed inside, but the open-air space let the music spill into the street. He'd listen closely, closing his eyes, trying to copy the singer's tone, the rhythm, the emotion. One night, as he sat there barefoot, singing softly to himself, a man in a dark blue jacket stopped. He was carrying a camera, and had the tired, but curious eyes of someone who'd seen too much of the world. "Hey, kid," the man said in English, kneeling beside him. "That's Hotel California, right?" Arham froze. His English was poor, but he understood the title. He nodded shyly. The man smiled. "You've got a good ear. Sing it for me." Arham hesitated. People usually ignored him or worse, chased him away. But there was something kind in this stranger's voice. So, he took a deep breath, and began to sing. His voice trembled at first. Then, like sunlight breaking through clouds, it grew clear, rich, and pure. The melody floated through the street. Every note carried his pain, his dreams, his loneliness. The man's eyes widened. A few cafe customers turned to listen. The city noise faded into silence, and then, something magical happened. By the time Arham reached the chorus, a small crowd had gathered around him. Some were recording, others stood frozen, their faces softened with emotion. His young, cracked voice carried a kind of innocence that no training could create. When he finished, there was silence, then applause. Real applause. The kind he had never heard before. The man with the camera smiled warmly, and handed him some money, but more importantly, he asked, "Can I record you? The world needs to hear this voice." The next morning, a video appeared online. Poor boy's angelic voice singing Hotel California in Karachi Street. At first, it was just a few hundred views. Then thousands. Then millions. Within 3 days, Arham's face was on every news channel, every social media feed. His soulful singing, his shy smile, his broken guitar, it touched hearts across the world. People from all over sent messages, donations, and offers to help. The man who recorded him, whose name was David, an American traveler and musician, found himself flooded with interview requests. But instead of taking credit, he said in every interview, "This is not my story. It's his." Arham is a voice the world almost lost to poverty. "I just pressed record." Soon after, a famous local musician contacted David. They wanted Arham to come to the studio and record the song properly with a real band, proper instruments, and professional mixing. Arham could hardly believe it. When he entered that studio, barefoot, clutching his broken guitar, everyone in the room fell silent. When the music started, and Arham sang Hotel California again, this time into a real microphone, the room filled with tears. Even the producer, a man known for his hard heart, wiped his eyes. The purity in that boy's voice couldn't be described, it could only be felt. Weeks later, the video of that studio performance went viral again. Arham's life began to change. Donations poured in. He was invited to perform on national television. The cafe where he once sat outside offered him a job performing inside on weekends. But the moment that changed everything came one evening, when he was invited to perform live at a charity concert broadcast across the country. Thousands of people filled the venue. Arham, nervous but determined, stepped onto the stage in a borrowed white shirt. As the band began to play the first chords of Hotel California, he looked up at the night sky. Somewhere up there, he believed, his father was listening. His voice broke slightly on the first verse, but then it soared, stronger, purer, brighter than ever. By the end of the song, the entire audience was standing. Some cried. Some cheered. And then something incredible happened. From the judges' panel, yes, it was a televised music show, the golden confetti burst into the air. The golden buzzer moment that every singer dreams of. Arham's small body trembled as tears streamed down his cheeks. He dropped to his knees, clutching his heart, overwhelmed by emotion. The host came running to him. hugged him tightly, and whispered, "You just reminded everyone what real music sounds like." Over the next year, Arham's story became a symbol of hope. He traveled the world, performed in concerts, and used part of his earnings to open a small music school for underprivileged children, kids just like him, who had talent but no opportunity. He named it Strings of Hope. Whenever journalists asked him what inspired him, he always said, "My father taught me one thing, that, no matter how poor you are, your voice can be your gift to the world. You just have to believe someone will listen." Years later, David, the man who first recorded him, visited the school. He found Arham teaching a group of little kids how to play guitar. When their eyes met, Arham smiled warmly and said, "You gave me the chance to be heard." David shook his head gently. "No, kid. You gave the world something to feel again." They hugged, and for a moment, it felt as if the entire universe stood still, the same melody of Hotel California softly echoing in the background. Now